Misfortune is the first one. It starts with champions. Misfortune's the first one. They gave her back Overwhelm.
Yep.
Yay! On her level up, not unleveled up.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
only on the level up. Although I think she only ever had it on
Yeah.
the level up. Yeah. So they
Yep.
basically reverted an old change,
hmm Which
which is
there's a
cool.
lot of those, by the way. We'll be seeing a
There
lot of those.
are, and there are some that some of the old players of Legends of Runeterra may be like, are
Scared of.
you sure you want to do that?
Yep.
Yeah, we'll talk about those. So cool thing for Misfortune. Jarvan gonna get slightly easier to level up. Instead of seeing 4+ strikes, it's gonna now be 3.
Yep.
Another thumbs up category.
Yeah,
Um,
Jarvan still behaves the same way with things like quick attack, but hey,
yeah.
I mean, at least it works.
Yep.
And Jarvan is seen he's seen some like tier 1.5, tier 2 play. The Shen Jarvan deck was starting to pop up as
Yeah.
a response to things. So quality, not a quality of life. It's definitely a buff, but certainly yeah, I don't know. Maybe I think we'll probably see maybe the same amount or maybe a little bit more J4 depending. But we also got another reverted change, and this is I don't even remember when they did this. This might have been in beta,
I
It
Saucy.
was. I
I
think
do
it
not
was in beta.
remember tough Tryndamere
Yeah.
anytime in the last like year.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
pretty
they
sure
did
this
it
was
before open.
this was before the actual release. Tryndamere leveled up. Now it will have Overwhelm, Fearsome, and Tough. This was a relic of the beta version of Tryndamere, who saw a ton of play
Yeah.
back then. That the old um, Freljord Shadow Isles. I think it was Tides of Time was like one of the top players and streamers back
Yeah.
then, playing the ramp deck when Weirding Stones I think cost 2
Yeah.
mana.
2 mana weirding stones.
Um,
And
Catalyst I
hyper
think cost 4.
aggressive Anivia. Anivia was like a 4 or something ridiculous.
Oh yeah, Anivia was like very different.
Yeah, she was
Um,
super
sh
different.
yeah, but yeah, so I don't even remember the last time we saw a Tryndamere get played. I guess it was probably Feel the Rush, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
tough in today's economy. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it is a strict buff. Whether it
Yes.
matters, who knows?
True, very
I
true.
feel like with Trundle kind of around,
Yeah.
Tryndamere's just sad. It's just wanting
Yeah,
to.
There can only
yeah,
be so many angry Freljord boys.
yeah. And Trundle just like gets bigger than Tryndamere,
He
which
sure
is
does.
kind of crazy.
You know what? Eventually, we're gonna get Silas too, and he's just gonna do the same thing but better, and he's probably
Mm,
going to steal things too, abilities and whatnot.
yeah. Well, Tryndamere, I don't know. Tryndamere is one of those like he's like a good like he feels like oh, this is of course as always is going to be dating myself here, but he feels like the old 7th edition Visidrix promo that they like it was in the starter decks from
Yes.
like 20 years ago. It's like Tryndamere, it's like everyone has one in their collection and it's like is this thing even a rare?
This
Like
is this is boomer card game talk. I'm sorry, everybody. You're here to listen to people talk about Runeterra, not
oh
Magic.
no. They know by now.
This is like a was it 8 mana 6/6 just generic something like that. It was blue, right?
Oh, Visidrix, I think was
Yeah,
7 mana. Seven
7
mana,
mana
6/6.
6/6.
Maybe
It was
head
Double
blue
trigger.
card.
checking. Yeah, 7 mana, 6/6. That was it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
just
vanilla.
just
It's just a
vanilla,
vanilla 7 mana,
but it's blue,
6/6.
so that made
Yeah.
it worth it.
That you ever no, is blue is known for big creatures. So
Hmm. I mean, Polar Kraken okay. Now I'm talking about actual boomer cards. No one remembers Polar Kraken. That card came out before most of the viewers were even born. That
so
actually was probably true.
true though. But so Tryndamere may not be a big issue, but this is a card that some people are very worried about.
Oh, this is the one I'm like Monka. I'm a huge
Karma
Monka.
Karma is getting her nerf reverted. She's going back to 5 mana. Anyone who remembers playing around with 5 mana Karma knows she was pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like Ezreal got a rework that helped
Mhm.
address some of the Karma Ezreal, but
Hmm.
Karma costing 5 no stat changes. This is just a straight reversion. It's essentially a buff. She wasn't really seeing play. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of new spells that make Karma better.
Yeah, 5 mana Karma is scary. Uh these kids these days with their Azir Aurelias and their TF Fizzes, they don't know how we used to have it. With well, I'm pretty sure that the people who played Karma Ezreal back the old versions are still playing their game. That's still going on.
Yeah,
As long as your game
they're not
doesn't end, the
cool.
client never. I'm sure that somewhere in the world right now, Catassis is
Me too.
very is so happy seeing this karma buff. But
Yep.
in all seriousness, though, I want to spend a little bit of time on this one because we look back, and we saw the meta really warped around. Maybe not dominated in the same sense that we saw Azure Aurelia on ladder,
Yeah.
or even TF Fizz in ladder in tournaments, but we saw the meta warped around Karma Ezreal, where it was always a looming presence. It was something that like you needed to have. It was like always in the matchup tables. Everyone always was thinking about it. You needed to factor that into your game plan, and it was largely because of old Ezreal, but it was also largely because of Karma and just setting up these game states that really were played in a way that we haven't really seen Runeterra played since
Yeah.
then, where it's like there's a lot of passing back, doing nothing, and then playing a karma out after it's leveled, and then having back up
Winning.
and like and winning, and getting and like having it be a very karma focused game where it's like, okay, I need to play the karma, protect the karma, and then there's like battles over the karma, and whoever wins that battle effectively wins,
Yeah.
even though the game draws out for another 10 turns. But I,
Yeah.
yeah.
Karma's an interesting one because she's one of those cards, and this happens in Ionia specifically a lot.
Mhm.
When she's bad, she's unplayable. When she's good, she's oppressive. Like
Yeah.
her ability, doubling spells, is really, really powerful. And it is a
Mhm.
game-breaking ability when it works really well. So it's really hard to balance her. We've had some really oppressive Karma decks other than Ezreal. I mean, remember Spooky Karma? That was another
Mhm.
deck that just took over the game for a long time. We've seen some Lux Karma be pretty good. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm excited. I'm a blue player in Magic. I like me some Ionia. So
Mhm.
I'm excited. I'm ready to see
Gosh,
it.
you mentioned that, and I just remembered that Lux is in Runeterra.
She is, yeah.
That's a rumor, I think. I'm
I
pretty
think
sure that's
they're adding
I
her. Shit, I
played
broke
so many
EA.
like weird Lux Poro decks and stuff, and I forgot that she even existed because like, oh yeah, I'll play Garen, I'll play Fiora on occasion, even post stuff. What wait, Lux is in game?
Yeah,
yeah, why does
Huh.
Demacia have fewer champions?
yeah. Why they just have strictly less champions for some reason?
Yeah, I'm curious because so many things in Runeterra are balanced so delicately around mana costs and whatnot, and Karma just like throws that completely out of the fucking window, right? Like, something like Static Shock is yeah, a 4 mana essentially deal 2 damage, right? But when you double that, you just get so much value.
Yeah.
And I think with all the new champions as well, I I'm hesitant to say I like this change just because I have seen what old Karma has done to Runeterra. And I don't necessarily like those play patterns. I don't like casting Karma Ezreal mirrors that take
Hmm.
5 hours. I'm not looking
Yeah.
forward to that. But in terms
She
of the
is slow.
game, she can be slow. I do think that in general the karma decks are like skill rewarding, which is cool. And if we have a more like dedicated control deck in Runeterra, I think I'm fine with that.
Hmm.
Um, Moving on though, we're seeing the first of a handful of Azir Aurelia nerfs. The first
Yeah.
of which here is Aurelia's level up condition going from 12 allies to 14 allies.
Yep.
So
Uh,
this
yeah.
seems pretty insubstantial to me. Same with the Azir nerf. It feels like, yeah, maybe this is one turn later, but Oftentimes it's not, because like you'll be attacking with 4 things at one time, and she's just like,
Yeah.
"Well, here we go." My guess is it does on average delay her level up by about half a turn to a turn.
Hmm. Yeah, the biggest thing for me, and I think that this is somewhat consistent with the other changes, but we can reference back to this point when we see the other ones too. I think that this, like, the changes were not meant to, like, okay, you know what, Azurelia, get out of here. You're not going to be playable anymore. They were specifically not doing that, and they specifically went for we're going to make the aggressive matchup for Azurelia much worse and actually have that be a counter to the meta or to that deck rather. Whether that decision is a good one or a bad one, that I think is what they went for in like, you know what? If you're playing Azure Burn, you're not just going to, still have to flip a coin. We want to give you an actual very, a better matchup against the deck, which I think is a good thing to do for these like top tier oppressive decks where it's like you don't even feel like you can go on ladder and counter them.
Yeah, there's a handful of just small nerfs that they did to kind of like touch this deck, and I
Mhm.
think it is on average, like if you do the math, it's like 1.5 turns slower, which is, I mean, the deck does kill you probably about 2 turns too quickly on average. So
Yeah.
with this, with the cards they've added and with the buffs they've added, I'm hoping it just makes it to where it's not the only premier fast deck that you can play, and
Yeah.
other decks are kind of in line with it, but we'll see.
We will have to see. Next up, we've got Riven, who I believe they gave her the quality of life update. Oh, I'm getting a call on Discord for some reason. Sorry about that.
That's me.
Ring a
We got the.
ding ding,
Can
friends.
I didn't even know I could be in 2 Discord calls.
Yeah.
I also don't know why I'm getting a call on that one. Anyways, uh, the they gave her the quality of life here so that when you gain the attack token, oh no. Wait, what did
It's so now you don't have to pass into a turn with the
right,
attack token to get it. It's just you summon her, you have the attack token, cool, you reforge. It's the way it should have worked the whole time.
right.
It puts it more in line with like how Irelia works in Victor.
Right. But wait, does she not get it every turn now though?
I
She only
think
get one
she, I think she does, and they
when I'm
worded it
summoned if
poorly
you
on the
have the an
website.
attack token.
Yeah, I think it still works the same way as before. It just now also when you summon
Also
it, I
gives
think they
that.
just shortened it on the website. I think it's like just
Gotcha. Okay. Because if they didn't do that, then she got
Only
worse.
reforges once. Yeah, that would be awkward. I think they meant to say it's the same, but also in the turn she comes in.
Right.
What if it isn't though? Ooh,
it
I
I'll
would
have to
guess.
be
test that.
worse.
I don't think anybody was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go into the early access event and play Riven."
Right.
No, that did not happen. Although I did, we have, yeah, whatever. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. I think if it is the way we think it is, that's just a good quality of life update for Riven because she was it just always felt awkward. It was like Riven was not a 3-drop, which felt really weird because it's like you want to play her on like turn 4 and then come into turn 5, I guess, which felt a little bit weird. But either way, I'm hoping that this is just a buff for Riven because I think Riven also is like one of those like has a lot of potential. People saw her and were like, "Oh, this is pretty good," and then she only panned out in a very narrow type of deck. But anyways, next up we've got Heimer, who's getting some stats.
Yep.
Saucy, what do you think about these Heimer Donger changes?
So I at first I thought it was completely didn't matter at all, but so he's getting +1/+1. So now he's a 2/4 at level 1, a 3/5 at level 2.
Mm-hmm.
I played against some Heimerdinger today after the buffs, and it did matter. He was harder to kill. On average, he summoned like 2 more turrets, but he's still very, very, very slow and doesn't
Mm-hmm.
do that much. So I don't think
Yeah.
he's like suddenly super playable. If you like Heimerdinger, I mean, a buff is a buff. It is better stats. He is harder to kill,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't really see that much better.
What do you
Uh,
think, Amy?
I think his ass got thicker, and that's pretty
Yeah,
sweet.
he's got big ass,
That booty of Heimerdinger.
which
Yeah.
matches his card back. His card back, boy's chiseled.
Oh, the pool party one?
Yeah. Have you seen that one, Amy? He's got those abs.
Yeah, I think you might just like Poros.
Mm, I like those
Not
yordles.
Poros, sorry, Yordles. I
Yordles.
think you might just
Love
like
them.
Yordles a
I do
lot.
like yordles. What's wrong with that? They're great.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate Heimerdinger and all of everything that Heimerdinger stands for, so I hope he's never playable. Anyways,
Moving on. Moving on.
next up, we've got Hecarim, who's getting a 1 health buff.
His ass also getting thicker.
Yeah,
Getting
and he
the
got that sick clippity clop. And hey, guess what? Ephemerals. There is a really cool way to do like a Zir Hecarim
Yeah.
win super fast.
ooh,
This doesn't change that much about Hecarim, but you know,
yeah.
it's a cool deck.
This and here, I know we were talking about tinfoil hats earlier. I'm putting mine on right now.
Perfect.
This one specifically, like the Heimer one, okay, I can get it. I can buy into that being a legitimate change. This change, this Hecarim 1 health buff, this is the community has been asking for incremental changes, so we're gonna give you that. But it's the like, oh, okay, I'm going to this feels like it feels like a child like taking everything that you say extremely literally to the point where it's just showing that they are just trying to be rebellious. That's what this feels like. Like, why did
Yeah.
we get a 1 health buff for Hecarim? This isn't going to change anything at all, but I think that this might be the devs testing something. How much more play rate is Hecarim going to get after the most minuscule, like completely irrelevant change? I
None.
think that I think
Absolutely
that
none.
well, you'd think that logically that would make sense, but I think that there's actually going to be a pretty big spike, and I'm curious. Maybe I'm gonna have to ping our good friend Cosmic to see if we can see any increases in hacker and
Yeah.
play rate, because that would be hilarious. And we've seen the inverse where there's a, a nerf which actually isn't that much of an impact, where but players still go, oh, nerf equal bad, me no play
Yeah.
bad card, and then it takes like a couple of weeks for the competitive meta to be like, oh no, actually this card's still insane. um
Yep.
I don't
I
know.
would be curious because the second a card gets buffed, even if it doesn't do anything at all, people are like, oh yeah, that card's better now, right? It got buffed. Let's play
Yeah,
it.
Hecarim's insane now. It can like,
Oh shit, he's running the
it can
meta.
block a moose. It can block a moose now.
Oh my god, it can block a Yeti.
It can
Oh,
block a Yeti. Actually, that might
can
be.
block a Yeti and live.
Yeah.
Ooh, see,
Card's
now that might
broken.
actually be relevant. Okay, I take it back. That might actually be relevant. But speaking of things that may or may not be relevant, we've got Azir getting changed.
Ooh.
Now the level up condition is you've summoned 13 units instead of 10. Amy, I know you mentioned a couple of minutes ago that this might not be that big of an impact.
I don't think it's that big of an impact. I mean, Azir Aurelia doesn't need to level up to win. It does the 18 damage on turn 3 without leveling up either of those fools.
True.
Yeah. I'm gonna just jump ahead. Sparring student, everyone's favorite 1 mana 16/16 did not get touched.
Yeah.
So we still have to deal with that. And yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe this levels up on turn 4 instead of turn 3 now.
Mm-hmm. I think that Azir Aurelia is still can be a player in the meta, and certainly still is going to be powerful. Again, to the point I made about Hecarim, people are absolutely, whether it's right or not, people are absolutely going to see, ooh, Azir nerf card bad, me no play bad card. Azir Aurelia tanks in terms of play
Oh,
rate.
yeah, yeah, and that's going to shift the meta and people will be playing different things. And that's what
Yeah,
we need to do. That's what makes the
right.
game healthier because very often you'll just hear people saying, "Oh, blank is the best deck." And this will be a
Yeah,
streamer, somebody else who's major on
yeah,
YouTube, and then everybody starts playing the deck. And then
yep.
everybody who isn't playing that deck has to start countering that deck. And you have to stack against it. And it just
Mm-hmm.
becomes this inbred meta, even if that's not necessarily the
Yeah,
best deck.
yep. Just like that week where we saw nothing but unyielding kegs. Thanks,
And that was
Saucy.
awesome. That was awesome. Come on.
I got you. It's fun. That deck was fun. Shut up.
That deck was sweet. But yeah, I think we'll see players like Drizoth who will be like, yeah, so this is still the nuts, and we'll end up still playing it, just like we saw Filthy Gamer Weeb holding up Twisted Fate Fizz on the back on his back and just completely dominating in ranks for so long.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I won't hark too much on the Azure Aurelia stuff until we actually see the results of it. I think this is maybe slowing it down. Like, I think the popular consensus is like a turn and a half, which in some matchups it could absolutely make a key difference, and in some it's not going to make any at all. Up
Yep.
next, we've got our good boy Susan.
Hello, Mr.
Uh,
Puppy.
losing losing fearsome on level 1.
Yep.
Level 2 and 3 still do have fearsome. Saucy, does this matter even a little bit?
It's somewhat relevant. I don't think it changes anything. So, jumping up ahead again, there's the Thresh Nasus deck really didn't get changed much. There's an
Yeah.
Abomination change, and I think this, and that's it.
Mm.
And it matters sometimes because a lot of times they get such an aggressive opening where you are down to
Mhm.
like incremental health. So now you can block it with your spider tokens from Vile Feast and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
I think that being able to chump block is huge because it means they
yeah.
can't just swing in with it at 7 power and atrocity it and be like, well, that's game.
Yep.
If you
Yeah.
just took a little bit of damage earlier on.
So I think it helps. It definitely helps. And without changing the deck at all, like you're still playing the exact same you were before if you like Thresh Nasus. Still has Fearsome and Spell Shield on 2 and 3.
Mhm.
I think it makes sense. And it makes his level 2 feel more differenter than level 1.
Yeah.
So I like it. It's fine.
Yeah. The leveled up version was like, I gain spell shield, and that's the only thing you care about.
Oh,
Yeah.
whoa, the Wither is sometimes relevant because of the fearsome. That's it.
That is very true.
Yeah.
That is very true. Now, yeah, I guess this definitely makes sense from a flavor standpoint as well. At least it makes the level 2 feel real now, rather than just like, okay, Nasus is bigger and better. Cool.
Big dog.
Big dog, bigger now.
Big
Yeah.
dog.
So again, I'm not 100% sure on the implications. From a competitive standpoint, I think the deck is still going to be roughly the same power
Yep.
level, just a little bit lower maybe, which is nice. Okay, we've got Sivir, who's getting a losing 5 damage that you need to do to level her up. So you're only gonna need to do 30 damage to level up the Sivir. Amy, what do you think about Sivir?
I feel like this is fine. I never keep track of when she's gonna level up anyway because I forget.
That's why we have
True.
the Oracle Eye.
Yeah, it's
Trudeau.
like, oh yeah, 30 damage. How many turns does 30 damage take? When am I doing this? I don't pay attention because I'll play Sivir LeBlanc. That's about the only deck I play Sivir in. I
Yeah.
played like some Sivir Riven too, and it's just like, oh, what? I'm doing this? Huh, I guess she leveled up. Look at that. I can't block with her. She dies to everything.
Yeah,
True.
you don't block with Sivir. I like this a lot. I was actually playing a lot of Sivir Zed, and it always felt she leveled up like 2 turns too slow.
Yeah.
So I think this helps quite a bit. And Sivir's really cool. Like she's interesting. Once she levels up, she provides some very interesting attack choices, especially with things like double attack. So I like this a lot. I'd love to see more champions from Shurima see play that aren't just Azir.
Yeah, I mean, we might be seeing Rek'Sai soon. But yeah, I think Sivir's a cool one. I feel like I had a point to make about her, but I don't remember what it was. We've got a lot more stuff to talk about, so let's move on to
Next!
Talia. Saucy, can you explain what this is?
So this
I'm
one's
never
worded
playing Talia.
really like the wording on this was actually giving me a migraine. And when I went over this
Okay,
on my video,
wasn't just me.
no, it's not just you. I went over this. So there is, I didn't even test it today because I forgot to. There are 2 different ways that this can work. So how I'm going to explain it. Here's what they say. So it changed from attack, deal 2 to my blocker. If it's dead or gone, deal 2 to the enemy nexus instead. If you have a landmark, you do it 2 more times. Now how it reads is attack, deal 2 to my blocker 3 times. If it's dead or gone, deal 2 to the enemy nexus instead. So they remove the landmark clause. And there's 2 ways that could potentially work. I hope it works like this first way. So you attack with her. She puts on the stack the 3 copies of deal 2 damage, and it works like it did before. where if the thing's dead or not there, it hits the nexus for each of those
Yep.
instances of 2 damage. I'm hoping that's how it works, but the way it's worded, it could also mean it puts the 3 things on the stack. If the thing that it's blocking dies, it only hits the nexus for 2 total, which I'm hoping isn't the case because
Which
that's a
would be
strict
weird.
nerf.
Yeah, that's one of those things where like you pretty much always have a landmark out for her anyway. So I assume that's just what it is. It's just the landmark requirement
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
fixing the verbiage. But yeah, it is not clear. And I
It
didn't
is
test
not.
it either.
So I'm
Yeah.
hoping it's the buff way because Talia could use the help. Not that
I
we
would still
decided to
like
nerf her.
Talia's to be buffed so that if she is removed from combat, her ability still goes through.
Yeah.
I wonder
Yeah.
if this.
Or
I
her
wonder if
blocker.
the verbiage, if it's dead or gone, deal 2 to the enemy. I wonder if this verbiage actually opens it up so that if she does die, the 2 damage still happens.
That's what I'm thinking and
Hmm.
hoping because that was one of the most frustrating. Like that was as
Yeah.
frustrating as Zed getting, or not Zed, when
Vlad.
Vlad would get removed from combat, his
I-
ability would fizzle. That was the most frustrating thing, and Talia's the exact same way.
Yeah, but it still says my blocker, so I
Mhm.
don't think they
Yeah.
changed that part.
But it's also still Riot and Legends of Runeterra game, so I don't take what the card says for meaning very much at all. But
You're just spoiled by modern magic cards, what with their clear text.
I mean, they've done some good things, I would say.
Yeah.
Icy Cauldron. Now that's a card I need back. That's that card from Ice Age that has like 5 paragraphs of text,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. That's how I want my card games. I want to read a novel of rules text. But yeah, I'm actually, I think Talia and the Turbo Thralls deck might actually be in a very interesting
Yes.
spot in the meta, considering not necessarily the buffs to the deck, but the nerfs to other stuff that was
Mhm.
preying on it.
Yep.
Anyways, we've got Tarek, who's getting +1/+1, right? No, plus
Plus 1 health.
+0/+1. This is
He's getting a
another
bigger ass.
another Hecarim level change. I think that this impacts Tarek more than it would impact Hecarim,
Yeah,
but I
'cause he's
think
attacking.
overall,
Yeah. Absolutely does, because you have to attack with Tarek multiple times because it's
Yeah.
support. Or does Hecarim like you attack once? Cool.
Yeah, Hecarim you usually attack once and you win. So
yeah. I will say that I had a good amount of fun with the Tarek Demacia Golden Aegis deck where you like rally 3 times in a turn. That's super fun.
yeah. Or
Um,
Tarek J Madarda. Let's go. Draw like
Ooh.
20 cards. Yeah, he got a bigger butt.
Tarek Echo, maybe?
Goes so
Does one of the
fun.
new Echo spells interact with them? I don't know. I'll let you you two brewers get to it. Aphelios getting the 1 health back, but not
Yep.
reverting the moon weapons. Don't care.
Hey, does not die to Mystic Shot, I think is
True.
huge.
That
Yeah.
is definitely true, but
And
also Aphelios can only die to Mystic Shot if I'm playing Aphelios, which I don't want to do if the moon weapons cost 3.
Yeah. It's amazing
So
how Aphelios' nerfs just totally tanked him.
hey, you made it to the end of the video. Thanks for that. Do us a favor, leave a comment below and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. Also, if you want notifications, go ahead and ring the fucking bell.